Well, good evening, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. It is Monday, February 17th, 2025. This is an update around 6:15 or so Eastern Time for the All Hazards Consortium Sensitive Information Sharing Environment, where we share information across platforms from private sector liaisons within state organizations to private sector owner and operators in the food, fuel, medical supply, logistics, energy, communications sectors. And we talk about the weather and what is happening around the country and what may impact critical infrastructure around the country. So I've got the GOES East satellite picture here looping, and it is dark already on the East Coast. You can see that Terminator line coming through from the GOES satellite. This satellite 22,300 miles up, operated by NOAA. It is our constant eyes in the skies for storms that are developing, and we have had a really progressive weather pattern over the last couple of weeks, and that pattern continues. Take a look here as the night lights start to appear under the clouds. Look at how far, let me take this full screen for you. Look at how far off from the windstorm that came across the East Coast last night about this time. Look how far out into the ocean it is and how fast it's moving. Way out there. Very, very strong winds kicking up very large waves out in the Atlantic Ocean. But let me take you a little bit closer to CONUS, is what we call it, continental United States, where we have a lot going on. Still strong winds up in New England coming across the Great Lakes. As a matter of fact, today there was a Delta Airlines that tried to land and flipped over at the Toronto airport. I was looking up some of those observations, and let me show you some of those observations real quick as well. That plane crash happened at about 2:45, and it was a CRJ 900. The crosswinds for that plane to land on a wet runway. This was very cold and probably some ice around on that runway. The limit is 22 knots or 25 miles per hour. The plane should not land if winds are stronger than that, crosswinds. And it looks like right now the winds have been reported between 2 and 3 o'clock here at 32 miles per hour with gusts to 40. So the only thing I don't know, was this a direct crosswind happening across that runway? Because if so, that plane should never have been trying to land. But if it was trying to fly directly into those winds, that's a different story. Or if a crosswind caught it and flipped it over. A very unfortunate happening today. Fortunately, everyone is okay in that accident. So that's great news. But that progressive weather pattern continues, and there's clear skies in the southeast here, but the next storm is gathering together in the Rockies that's going to be coming out and impacting Arkansas, Missouri, Kentucky, a little bit of Tennessee with winter weather, even though they have very widespread flooding happening now. As a matter of fact, the death toll has climbed even higher. Another death today. So the death toll is 9 out of those tremendous floods that happened so quickly with intense rainfall. Some places receiving more than 9 inches of rain in and around Kentucky up into southeastern Ohio. That is definitely going to cause quite a bit of flooding. Let me take you out to the West Coast and show you the GOES West satellite here because we do have another system that's approaching the West Coast. Look at this one. I can back out just a little bit here, give you a little bit more perspective as to what's going on. Here comes the Terminator line. But you can see the strong low pressure system in the Gulf of Alaska here. This is an atmospheric river, and it's going to line up and impact Western Oregon and Washington State. A little bit of Northern California. Looks like an AR1, no more than an AR2 perhaps over the next couple of days. Let me show you that forecast while we're at it so I can show you what's going on there. So this is the AR forecast for the West Coast. See all these dots right here? You can see my cursor there on the left-hand side of the screen. This dot, this bigger green dot, is the forecast point for this forecast. This center line here is right now. So this is the past, what's happened in the past, and this is the future. And so we have a blue, an AR1 that's forecast in about 36 hours at this point in southern Oregon that could cause some flooding. There's quite a bit of snowfall inland as well. So this is going to cause some snow at higher elevations. But an AR1 is typically not too bad. It helps to replenish reservoirs. But if it comes across burn scars, it could cause mud flows, debris flows, and things like that. You know, unwanted debris coming down the mountainside and flooding residential areas, homes, roadways. That's critical infrastructure there. And you can see all up and down the Oregon and Washington coastlines, it is green. So that is an AR2 that's forecast, and there it is. This is an AR2 that's forecast. Let's see. This is today, Monday. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So by Saturday, an AR2 may be impacting this part of the West Coast. So we'll be keeping you posted throughout the week. This is Monday, so we still have some time to go through. But there is a little atmospheric river, is not too long-lived, maybe about 12 hours, that is headed towards the West Coast. And I'll show you that satellite picture again. You can see this is an atmospheric river that's starting to line up, not over the next 24 hours. This has got a while before it reaches. But there's a pretty good fetch here of moisture that will be impacting the West Coast. We'll keep you posted as time goes on. Meanwhile, on the East Coast, we have that storm that's wrapping up. And I do want to show you some cold air, tremendously cold air. Once again, is going to be coming down from Canada. It's already started, and it's going to be infiltrating all the way down into central and parts of South Texas. There are extreme cold warnings in effect, and let me show you that on GeoCollaborate. Look at this extent. This is all of this blue area here, extreme cold warnings in effect for this cold air outbreak that's coming down right through the Midwest. There's nothing to block this wind either in this cold air. It's just an open gate right down into central Texas. We're talking about wind chills here of 10 to 20 below zero in South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and in Texas up to 10 degrees below zero for wind chills through Thursday. This will be starting tomorrow, Tuesday, so into Wednesday and Thursday. This cold air is going to be pouring right down into the Midwest there. And look at all these other things that are in effect. I'll zoom in here so I can show you what's going on. You can see the pink. That pink area is winter storm warnings that are in effect in southeast Kansas, southern Missouri, also southern Illinois, and extreme southern Indiana, Evansville, Indiana there. This is because we have another winter storm that's going to be moving through the area. This is Arkansas, even all the way down to Little Rock. See, there's Little Rock right there. Well, we could have snowfall totals of 4 to 6 inches of snow. This is Tennessee. Here's Nashville. Yes, Nashville. I know you normally don't get a lot of snow during the winter, but here we go again. Another 4 to perhaps 5 inches of snow out of this storm that's going to be forming and taking a beeline towards the East Coast, but a southern track. Look at this. This is a winter storm watch in effect for North Carolina, all the way from Greensboro, including Raleigh and the Durham area, all the way to the Outer Banks of North Carolina, Norfolk, Richmond, Virginia, and even the southeast peninsula, coast of Maryland, the lower eastern shore, and southern part of Delaware. A winter storm watch, possibly 4 to 5 inches of snow happening there Wednesday into Thursday as this coastal storm really wraps up off the coastline. But what's the big difference? The big difference is the major cities of Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, up towards Trenton and New York. Not much, if any, snow expected at all. There could be a few flakes around the D.C. area, especially towards the west around Dulles and maybe some of the mountainous areas, but nothing that's really causing any watches, warnings, or advisories to be issued. So let me back out here, and I want to show you from GeoCollaborate's standpoint where the winter storm severity index is highlighting dangerous areas. And so I'm going to turn off the watches, warnings, and advisories, but I'm going to turn on the winter storm impacts. And look at that. This is just like the storm path it's taking, coming out of the Colorado Rocky Mountains, dipping down across Oklahoma and Arkansas and Tennessee. This area here, and I'll put on the legend here so you can see it. This is expected to be major impact here for critical infrastructure, particularly the highway system, the roads. It's going to be very dangerous driving. I'll zoom in here. This is from Wichita on east, and I can change the base map here to show the streets on here and what highways we're talking about. So here we are. This is Kansas City. So from Kansas City, this is Route 70. Right here in Kansas City, goes right over to St. Louis. So there's going to be some impact there, but the biggest impact for transportation and driving in Kansas City across Lawrence, Kansas, Topeka, Manhattan, Salina, Kansas, out to Hayes. There's going to be strong winds, very cold temperatures, and snow that could accumulate 2, 4, 6 inches. But the main thing is it's going to be incredibly cold and strong winds. But here we go from Wichita over to Joplin, Missouri, and Springfield, Missouri. This is Route 44 coming out of Tulsa across Springfield through Missouri to St. Louis. This is going to be very dangerous driving during the day tomorrow and into tomorrow night. And then it's going to extend to the east. Here's Cape Girardeau, in Missouri right here, and here's Evansville, Indiana. So this finger of hazardous driving is going to extend to the east Tuesday night as this storm gets its act together. This is going to also extend to the east, and look at what happens in the mid-Atlantic states. So in the extreme southern counties, St. Mary's County, Calvert County, and Maryland, there could be some accumulation here. It's going to be close to Washington and Baltimore, but the real difficult driving, and you see on the legend there, moderate driving conditions. That means it's going to be hazardous in the Maryland's lower eastern shore, including Ocean City and the eastern shore of Virginia, coming down here into Norfolk, Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach. Even in northern North Carolina here, we could have some major impacts from accumulating snow during the day, Wednesday afternoon into Thursday morning. Lingering snow as this low wraps up off the coast and kind of moves straight out. Normally, if it would move up the coast, all these hazards would extend up the coast, but not this time. Look, here's Winston-Salem right here on the edge of the map. Here's Winston-Salem here, even down towards Goldsboro. Look at Goldsboro and Fayetteville, North Carolina. There's a chance here that there could be some very hazardous driving conditions during the afternoon Wednesday into Thursday. So I'll back out here once again and show you. This is the Winter Storm Severity Index, so we can show you where winter weather is going to have an impact. And I'll just zoom up here a little bit to the Great Lakes, because there's definitely going to be impacts here from lake effect snow. Lake Ontario is still not frozen, but Lake Erie is primarily frozen now, with at least a thin layer of ice across it. So that's sort of cutting off some of the lake effect snow. Not all of it here. You can see down here towards Erie. But look at where the bullseye is here. This is Rochester, New York. This is Syracuse, and even getting a little bit closer in here to the east of Rochester. This is I-81 north and south, and this is 90. So this is I-90 going across here, and you can see where the big accumulations are expected from lake effect snow during the day tomorrow into Wednesday. This is Route 11. And also the crossroads here around Central Square. This is Route 3 here, 481, Phoenix, Brewerton, Bridgeport, Camden. Expect very treacherous driving conditions. Baldwinsville, Phoenix, Bridgeport down here as lake effect snows really get going. I'll tell you, some folks here, more than 50 inches of snow on the ground, and it is really has been quite a winter as the lakes have not frozen and just kept it open for lots of lake effect snow to be falling. So let's kick into the models. I want to show you what it looks like for what's expected here. We're going to go over to the GFS model here, and I'm going to show you what the forecast is. A lot of models over the last day or two have really trended in keeping the storm to the south, away from Washington, away from Baltimore, away from Philadelphia. So I know a lot of folks are happy about that. Earlier in the week, some were really touting this as a potential big snowstorm, but there's a lot of risk in doing that. Things could change. Conditions change. The models do change as time goes on. And remember, I often say, once you get past 3 days out in a model for forecast snow, it could be very tricky. I tend to not talk about snow accumulations more than 3 days ahead of time because the models could really change as atmospheric conditions get a better handle from the models. Better handle. And if the Weather Service launches more radiosonde balloons to get more observations, that helps as well. Well, let's put this into motion, and I'll show you what it looks like. You can see this low pressure system that's developing, coming out of the Colorado Rockies. It's got some moisture with it. Very strong high pressure system up here, 1047 millibars. That's pretty strong, and you can see it. Look at these contours, these isobars. The high pressure is pushing down into Dixie and down through the central part of the country. Now watch as we put this into motion. As this storm comes together, you can see why the winter storm watches and warnings are in effect, because a moderate to heavy band of snow is expected from northeast Oklahoma, southern Missouri. That's why the driving is going to be treacherous. So if you can hold off during the day tomorrow, delivering any of your goods or services, I would recommend doing that, because this is going to be treacherous conditions, even with some freezing rain and sleet there on the southern edge of that snow, and rain down towards the Gulf Coast. So let's keep this going, and you can see how the storm system really comes together here. But high pressure and dry air are really fighting against this precipitation shield moving any farther north. This time here is 18Z Wednesday, so about 2 o'clock in the afternoon Wednesday, that's when snow might be showing up as close as Dulles Airport, maybe a few flakes in Washington, D.C., but watch this. It just skirts to the south. Meanwhile, freezing rain and sleet in parts of North Carolina. That's why treacherous driving could be in store there. So please be very, very careful. Meanwhile, some strong thunderstorms could be coming ashore on the west coast from about Tampa northward, and then these storms will make their way south, perhaps to Bradenton, Sarasota, during the day and evening on Wednesday as this system goes through. But look at that. Heavier snow, Maryland's lower eastern shore, and Norfolk, Virginia might be the bullseye for 4, 5, maybe even 6 inches of snow locally as this system races out to sea and strong high pressure pushes down into Texas. Look at that cold air. It's tough to see. You know, you're a meteorologist, I'm a meteorologist. I can see this cold air being pushed down. I'll show you what it looks like when we talk about different colors at about 5,000 feet here in just a moment. But you can see here, this is going to be a very tight gradient. Let me change the region here to the northeast and around the same timeline here. Well, let me change it to the southeast because nothing's happening in the northeast here. Look at this. This is the fine line. Here's the Chesapeake Bay, Norfolk, Virginia. I'll take this back a couple of steps here and look at this. Light snow starting, and that is during the morning or during the afternoon Wednesday. Light snow in North Carolina, Asheville, where the continued cleanup continues there from Hurricane Helene. That's going to be going on for years for sure, but a very cold and windy and snowy Asheville, North Carolina. Doesn't look like significant accumulation, but at least a few inches. And that could be significant when you're trying to recover for sure. But look, I wanted to show you a little bit closer. This is potential ice here in northeastern North Carolina, which would make roads very treacherous. So if you're planning on driving there, this is Thursday at 0Z, so Wednesday night about 8 o'clock in the evening, anywhere after 6 o'clock to about 5 in the morning. treacherous driving conditions here. So I'd take a little pause if you're going down any of the roadways there to deliver anything. And then look at this. On Thursday morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning, it's snowing heavy in Norfolk, Virginia, as this low pressure kind of winds up and then it moves out. But look, still lingering snow showers in Norfolk. And this is 7 a.m. Thursday. So I think by about 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Thursday, you'll start to see it clear up. And then it'll be time to dig out from 4, 5, 6 inches of snow, perhaps even as close as Salisbury, Maryland, to the Baltimore and Washington areas. This is going to be a close call, a very close call. Now let me widen out and show you the cold air and where it is. Now this is the European model. I'm showing you just where the cold air is over the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic right here, right now. And I'll put this into motion. So let's see. Let me get this up to time here. I'm going to get this up to time right now. This is the blob of cold air that's over the Northeast and the north central part of the country right now. This is 7 o'clock this morning. I'm going to take it to this afternoon and into this evening. This is this evening. And look at that cold air just waiting for that low pressure to form here along the south, and then watch it dump right down through Oklahoma into Texas. Look at that cold air going down there. This is where we're going to get wind chills of 10 to 20 below zero throughout Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, even 20 to 40 below zero in North and South Dakota. These are wind chill indexes, even temperatures 20 degrees below zero. Very, very cold, but it is February. Sun angle is getting higher, so the cold air should not last as long as it does in December and January. But look at this cold air stretching all the way down into the Rio Grande Valley. Along the Rio Grande River, we're talking here Wednesday night is going to be below freezing with wind chill temperatures below zero possible. At least around zero, but below zero in parts of southwest Texas along the Rio Grande Valley. And then that will rotate out here. We're talking now Friday morning. We still have cold air. Look at that cold blob. Where else is it cold around the world? Not many places. A little blob here. Look at Alaska, way above average, much warmer than normal air out in the Pacific, warmer air out in the Atlantic. So that's why... that is why we're seeing this pinching of the cold air, and it's getting forced south because there's so much warm air up around the North Pole. This is not normal. It is anomalous behavior. The jet stream has been in a very progressive pattern, but very wacky, letting cold air dive down so far and be persistent. So even though all this cold air has been around, like during the month of January, even though the U.S. was so cold, the globe set a record high for the month of January. That is concerning because the U.S. was so cold. That's what we talk about when we talk about climate change. It is anomalous here. This is anomalously cold air, but it's not going to stick around forever. It's going to move out, and look at this. It'll be replaced by warm air. Look at that. Warm air over the central part of the country. Anomalously warm doesn't mean it's going to be in the 70s, 80s, and 90s here. It's just going to be warmer than average. And look at this. In 12Z Tuesday, February 25th, this is now we're talking fantasy land. But for air masses, the models are still pretty good for seeing where it's going to be colder or warmer than average. That cold air is going to be out of here and replaced by much warmer air. So that is the forecast. That's what I wanted to show you. The last thing I want to show you here is the temperatures. These are the wind chill indexes right now in parts of North Dakota and Montana. Look at that. 40 degrees below zero, 24 degrees below zero in Kansas, 15 degrees in Oklahoma City right now, 1 below. Right around western Missouri, around the Kansas-Missouri border here, south of Kansas City. Chicago, oh, it's cold there. Wind chills of 10 below zero right now. This is all going to plummet to the south with wind chill indexes of 10 to 20 below zero between tomorrow afternoon and Thursday morning. So be prepared for that. So that's it for this weather update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. Thanks so much for watching. This has been for the All Hazards Consortium, Sensitive Information Sharing Environment. And we'll be back tomorrow with another weather update. We have really cold air headed down into the Midwest. Could be pipe freezing weather once again, and we'll be watching that snowstorm that's going to be developing and has its eyes on the Midwest there through Kentucky, where so many people are recovering from flooding now. Areas are still flooded, and they're going to be getting 4, 5, maybe 6 inches of snow. So really variable, changing, extreme weather there in Kentucky, and maybe 4 inches, 5 inches of snow in Norfolk, Virginia. We'll keep you posted on that one. This has been the update for the All Hazards Consortium. Thanks so much for watching. Please watch out for yourself. Take care of yourself. And also watch out for your neighbors. They do appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow.